Well, hello there. Thank you for staying with Business Today. Now we are back. We are talking about the African Conference on Agriculture Technologies, and joining us is Emmanuel Okok-Benin, who is the Director of Programs and Commercialization at AATF. Thank you so much for joining us on Business Today.
Thank you very much.
All right. So the conference has been going on since the 30th. Now it's ending tomorrow. So when you talk about ACAT conference, what are we exactly talking about?
Well, it's a conference focusing on Africa's successes and challenges, and the future pathway that we must bring into focus on how to continue to grow and develop agriculture on the continent. And again, it emphasizes on the centrality of science, technology, and innovation in agricultural transformation.
All right. Even with focusing on agriculture, let us look at technology-wise and how technology has come into the space. First of all, how is it in terms of embracing this particular space, especially when it comes to agriculture, embracing technology? How are farmers receiving it? Are we seeing many of the farmers getting into embracing technology, or how is it?
I think we will not want to put the blame right now on the farmers. We've got to do a lot much more to be able to onboard farmers. So I'm not saying that farmers don't have a role in adoption, but there are a lot of things we need to do as a continent to be able to empower the farmers. So technology is basic, all right, and we need to do more awareness creation. We need to explain to people and the farmers on what they stand to benefit, gain from adopting technologies. But again, the environment is also dynamic. Some of the traits we are looking at today didn't exist as a major issue before. But we must look at those traits following the developments around climate change, for example, now. All right, now we now know that through agriculture, we can improve health. We also know that through agriculture, if we move from subsistence to commercial agriculture, farmers can earn really good living. Agriculture should not be seen. So technologies are central to that part. However, regarding your question, we must do a lot more, because we must put in place infrastructure that will support the farmer. Some of those technologies, even if you give to farmer, an enabling environment is not created.
Yes.
Enabling environment can be in various forms, in policies, all right, to support many things, including inputs, trade, and so on. You also need regulatory systems in place that will ensure that farmers get the best. We've seen technologies developed, but they are not of the best quality when farmers buy them. So farmers must get value for money they spend. And once you build that trust, farmers can begin to use such technologies. So a lot of things will need to be in place. There are times you have the technologies, they can't access it.
Yes.
So accessibility is also key. So we have to do a lot of work to ensure that wherever that farmer is, he's able to get the technology he wants and trust that technology, and be sure year in, year out, he or she can get that technology. So ACAT is trying to bring all together all the stakeholders, the policymakers, we have the researchers, we have the farmers, and all other people who are playing key roles in that process, including experts in communication. All right? Maybe some researchers may not be able to explain what those technologies are. You need to get someone who is an expert who can really communicate very well to the level of understanding of that farmer you are engaging. Otherwise, there's a communication breakdown, and when that happens, you even make it much worse for farmers to really understand what they are dealing with.
All right, very well explained, and very nice insights from you. Now, let us look at the theme: agriculture resilience through innovation. Now, when it comes to innovation, very many innovations usually come up, And as we as a continent are looking at the kind of land that we have, the kind of power that we have, especially when we churn out very good products, especially farm products from our farms. When it comes to innovation, what is it that is, what are some of the gaps, especially when it comes to innovation, that we are not really tapping into? Because by now we need to be at a level where at least almost everyone in the globe is looking at Africa. So what are some of the gaps when it comes to innovation that we are not really tapping into?
Now, the first thing is that do we have the resources? Yes. What I mean by the resources, there are natural resources. The arable land, Africa has the biggest arable land for agriculture right now.
Yes.
But again, productivity is still low. We have diverse agroecologies that supports different crops. And yet we still import food. Africa is importing food over $100 billion. And if we don't check that, it's going to increase further. Now, if we have the money to buy the food, where are we getting the money? Could we not use that money to empower farmers to deliver the food we want? So food and nutrition security is very critical. So your question is very broad, because we need to improve on every aspect of agriculture. If you look at ACAT, we've discussed food security, we've discussed nutrition sensitive agriculture, we've discussed climate smart agriculture, we've discussed climate change. A lot of things are in that space, all right? And we've brought in experts to really discuss these issues. It's not every time. If you look at ACAT, it's well structured. We took all the technologies into consideration, and we begin to say what is missing. And if you look at what we've discussed, every aspect of agriculture, of course, we looked at is food. Food is much the key issue. We've even discussed One Health. Under One Health, we've not only looked at plants, we've looked at livestock. All right, what can we do? The One Health thing is a very fundamental issue, and we're trying to say here that we have one system. It's all about one health, one world, one system. What you do in plant affects the livestock, and what you do on the environment also affects. And we've seen a lot of, the COVID case, for example, was a transfer of the viruses, from animals to the human. So we're looking at human health and so on. And when you talk of crops, when you talk of good foods, it's all nutrition, all towards health at the same time.
Okay.
And then a lot of things are in that space. So it's a big question, but many things are not really working well. Are farmers having the best seeds, for example? Not many people see seed as an input, but it is. Okay, you talk of fertilizers. Fertilizers can be useful, but if wrongly applied, you won't get results. So all those things affect your productivity. Now, the issue is that 20% of Africans are living with hunger. That is unacceptable, okay? And if you look at, even in Kenya, 4 consecutive years of failure in rain season, that is devastating. But there are solutions to that. So we left things in the hands of nature, but man has advanced beyond that. We have to look at our preparation to handle risk. And those are the things that also makes it difficult for the creditors to give loans to farmers. So we've got to do certain things first, build confidence, and then the other things might start addressing. So the basics is what we must look at.
Okay.
So we need to see how to really transform agriculture and let the farmers understand that we really value them. That for me, it hurts me, because agriculture is seen as a dumping ground.
Yes.
It should not be like that. They should be respected for the role they play. Africa's agriculture employs about 70% of its people, and if you're going to transform the continent agriculture-wise, then you've got to take those people very seriously. One thing that happens is that development starts normally, even from other places in the part of the world, in Europe, in America, it started gradually from agriculture, and as agriculture continues to build strong economic base, it has to move on into industrialization process, and then GDP begins to fall.
Yes.
So once your GDP in agriculture is still high, it means you are still highly dependent on agriculture, and then you are not really evolving quickly. And so that's just what is happening. But ACAT is trying to say, let's come together as one continent, of course, all the stakeholders are not all from the continent, but they contribute to that process. What is not working well? How do we do it? We've seen the African Union mention that we should invest more on research and development, dedicate more funds and investment to that process, at least 1% of the GDP, and see how we drive that. A lot of Africans are contributing to development outside Africa, and the continent where we need the help, we can't use them. Why? Because people who have been trained have not been given all the right environment to be able to apply their skills to improve agriculture on the continent. So we are trying to reverse that and build confidence again. And then strategically, if you look at ACAT, a lot of dialogues are going on. We are not coming here to say what we want, what you want to let us hear. It is a collective, structured program where we take issue and begin to talk about them.
All right. And now let's move on and look at how technology is coming in to improve food security. Because when you look at Africa, food insecurity is a very, very huge issue, especially when it comes to post-harvest losses. Now, how does technology come in, and how do we use this to even improve food security?
Now, ATF that organized the ACAT was developed because of the gap in technologies. While some institutions are doing a lot around technologies, a lot of those technologies are even are on the shelves. This was because they don't get to farmers. And we are trying to say that it's one thing to develop a technology, but the development of a technology does not mean the technology is available to the farmers.
Yes.
So all that whole process model, and we found gaps. We've really found gaps. Of course, you've mentioned agro-processing, but let me tell you, even for seeds like maize is a big crop in Kenya, in your food systems.
Yes.
But yet, you don't, this high-yielding, innovative maize varieties don't get. We talk of drought just now. We have drought-tolerant maize, but we need to put in money. So you need to put in money on the research, and once it's half, you need to put in money in the delivery infrastructure. All right. If you don't produce what you call the certified seeds, and that comes from foundation seeds. Your foundation seeds come from breeder seeds. Nobody is doing that. Then it's not going to happen. So in agro-processing, there are technologies. And the key role there also. But we are not taking them up. And the uptake is what is causing the problem. Now, in the technologies, for example, in agro-processing, ATF is trying to, of course, we try to prioritize because resources are not unlimited. And so you see crops like horticultural crops, like tomatoes, a lot is lost because of infrastructural problems to really keep them in good quality conditions before they go to market. And so most of the times when African produce are rejected in Europe and America, why? Because they're not in the best of quality. And those are the things we are trying to stop. So there are, for example, I'm a geneticist, there are genes that slow down deterioration. All right, that is also being deployed. And when we talk of biotechnology, people don't understand why we talk about technology. There are some technologies that do exist, but there are what you call biological barriers, which cannot happen like you do under conventional where you do crosses. So how do you move such genes that really confer tolerance to some traits? So you have the genetic approach. You have also the mechanical approach. All right. Of course, people are using some preservatives and so on. We need to look at the safety. So when we talk of technologies, basically for people who are so apprehensive about whether they are safe for consumption, these go through rigorous testing. We subject them to rigorous testing, and you have regulatory agents the government has put in place to act on behalf of the people to check whether those procedures are, whether those products that comes out from the use of technologies really can meet up to expected standards. So they are there. So there are many opportunities. Even my AATF right now is working on cassava. We've done mechanization, but after mechanization, that is a crop that does not stay more than 48 hours. We brought in a technology from South America, and we are now trying to use it also in Africa, and it can work on several crops. And you know, a lot of money is lost naturally. But then, even after processing, there are some other things that come as like a waste that the farmers can convert into some products and get extra money in what we call bioeconomy or circular economy. So there are opportunities. Farmers should really have money for and you know, something to show for the efforts they put on their work.
All right. And now, you had mentioned earlier that many of these solutions are on the shelf. Farmers are not able to get them. So how do we get to the farmers? How do we give a person, a farmer or a smallholder farmer in the rural area who is not able to reach to where all these solutions are? What is it that we have missed there?
Now, and that is one of the reasons why AATF is created.
Yes.
We also must understand that some institutions specialize for certain functions. So some institutions are for research, and some institutions have the know-how, capacity, and capability to be able to pass on those technologies to farmers. There are many things in that space. One, because if you look at the AATF model, we are African focused. We are also really driven by partnership management, and then of course we also really are technology driven, so that farmers can get the best. Wherever you are in the world, you must know that you are going to compete with other farmers in the world, and so you can get into the market, access to the market, and things like that. So your technology is not there for the purpose that it is technology. Nobody's interested because it's technology. But to the farmer, what is there for him or her? That's what is taking. You want to spend your money, why must you spend it? What are you getting? The private sector is there because they want to make money. And so if you look at the value chain, depending on where you are, there is opportunity for you to make money. And you are not going to be on the extreme end of the value chain and think you are going to make money when other people in the middle that are supposed to help you are not there. So we need to organize that central part between the point when the technology is developed, and so that the man at the end of the chain gets value, and it needs to get market. So we need to do market development to see if you could. We've seen farmers who actually adopted, produced, but they couldn't sell. All right. So market development is critical. Your product must satisfy the market profiles that will drive uptake, and many things in that process. So you can't just stay in one part of the chain and look at it. So we are trying to assemble everybody, and you can't be jack of all trades. So focus in one part of the distance, and then you put in your best, and then you get value for it. Of course, when that happens, and you put in, now, no one technology is a silver bullet thing.
Okay.
It's just one important thing. And then you need to support it with other complementary technologies. Okay. You can get a crop, a variety that is high yielding, and then you require a fertilizer to do it, and the fertilizer doesn't exist. So the government must come in very strongly, and we know the government alone cannot do it. So we need to put in policies that will support the private sector to come in with confidence to say, oh, this is a good business environment. And if they find value, they will invest, and then they get something back for it. At the end of it all, the consumer will be better off, but the farmers must be able to get access to. So we're doing a lot of those things, and then making sure that the seeds, for example, seeds now, if you buy a seed, it should be true to type in terms of the performance you expect for it. Okay. And those kind of things are things that reassure the farmers, and then they will reassure the creditors on who may be willing to give farmers loan. But we are still far from that because we've not put all that in process. We just talk of development, and we think the farmers will get it automatically, which is not true.
Right, Emmanuel, we have to stop it right there. I'm being told our time is up. All right, there you have it from Emmanuel Lokok Benin, who is the Director of Programs and Communications at AATF, speaking to us about how this technology can get to the farmers and all that we need to do in order for farmers to get it. All right, ACAT conference ends tomorrow, remember that. And ACAT conference means Africa Conference on Agriculture Technologies. We need to get into this, all of us, in order for us to save our continent. All right, we've come to the end of this conversation. My name is Kelvin Yakundi. Stick around. Be Your KTN is coming up next.